Today is March 22nd, 2020. Welcome to my little vlog thing here. My name is Byron, and this is Thinking Aloud, or rather just me kind of thinking aloud. Decided to shave since the last time I made a video. I need to take care of myself. Hopefully I'll be able to get somewhere to get a haircut too. I like my hair long, but I don't like it this long. It's kind of annoying. I've also been making my bed every single time I've been making one of these, so it's been pleasant actually. I rather like it. I think I'm going to keep doing it even if I don't continue these, so that's pretty interesting. Pleasant surprise. We take those. I've been things really haven't been, not a lot of things have been happening as of late. At least for me, it's kind of been slow. I don't really know what to say otherwise. I guess I'm lucky, considering that there are other people who are not having as good a time. Things are rough here, but it's nowhere near as rough as, say, like, the families of people who are dying in Italy. Ugh. I mean, I guess I should say that I don't think the death rate is that high from, the virus that cannot be named. It's just that, people with pre-existing conditions are at serious risk of this thing, and it's unfortunate that some places in the world just don't have the resources to help people. I heard that in Italy that they are choosing between people. It might be Italy. I might be wrong about that. It's somewhere in the world. They're choosing between people and who they're going to treat based on life expectancy, and that's something you'd see during war times. I think the technical term is triage, something like that. Man, I feel for the people, who are affected by that. It's just so gut-wrenching to hear that stuff like that is actually happening in the world. It's gotten me thinking a little bit about empathy of all things, and just some strange things regarding that. It's kind of a curse to be empathetic when you don't have the resources to do anything about it. And it's also got me thinking about, like, other problems regarding empathy. It has limitations, I guess, is the way to put it. And personally, I think empathy is overrated to begin with, but I should probably say that I don't think that that's the same thing as saying that it's, worthless. Things have they have uses and they have non-uses. They have advantages to their use and disadvantages to their use. And empathy, one of the advantages of its uses is that, it can spur action, right? I think that empathy is useful as like a motivational thing, but the downside there is that if you can't do anything, having this motivation to and desire and drive to do something when there's nothing you can do, it just makes you feel helpless and trapped. And I hate that feeling. God, there's nothing worse than being useless. I hate it. It's so bad. It is by far the worst thing, at least for me. There are probably things that other people don't like more, but that's like up there in my number one. I can't stand being useless. I say that empathy is overrated in some regards because I think people tend to overstate its usefulness. So sure, it's a great motivator, but it's one thing to be motivated to solve a problem. It's another thing to actually have a workable solution at hand, or to understand the practical ramifications of your actions, and what you're going to do to actually solve the problem. And one of the issues with being merely empathetic is that empathy by itself isn't, it's, I guess the phrasing would be quantitatively challenged. It's not very good at things like logic and math that facilitate practical reasoning and allow for problem solving. It doesn't matter how motivated you are to solve the problem unless you have an actual solution that works. And one of the problems with people who are empaths is that they take this kind of like, well, they'll be like, we need to do something to solve the problem, and they'll be like, well, let's do this. Then other people have a problem with it, and it's like, well, no, we're not going to do that. That's dumb. And they're like, well, you're just not empathetic. And it's like, well, that's not really fair, right? Because it's not that they're disagreeing with your goal, it's that they're disagreeing with your methods, right? And those aren't the same thing, right? I like to call it being frenemies, because you may have the same ends or goals, but you may not agree on the same methods or procedures in order to actually go about, solving it. And unfortunately, to get to that, you need a totally different skill set from this kind of gut, intuitive, go get 'em attitude. You can't just have optimism and that kind of thing. You need to have a mind about you and some sense about you in order to solve problems in effective ways. And so saying that people who have problems with your methods and don't necessarily disagree with your goals are just not being empathetic is a distraction from the practical questions. You have to make sure that your proposed procedures work, and you don't get to just, sweep that under the rug because you think some people need your help. And the danger that empaths run into is that they do things that don't have concrete effects. They do things that are more symbolic in nature. It's like, yeah, we're doing this thing, and it's so nice, and it looks good, it seems good, but if you actually run the numbers, it doesn't really do anything for anyone. That's just a trouble that we run into. So my basic thing is that my basic complaint with people who talk about mere empathy, and it's just, well, we just need more empathy. Well, yes and no. You need some empathy to motivate people, but you also need practical sense. And if you can't measure the actual effect that you're having, you're not naming names and counting heads, then there's a good chance that you're not really doing anything worthwhile. and certainly if you haven't measured it, you shouldn't have any certitude that you're making any positive effect in the world. So I just thought that was something that might be useful to say. And all of this is it kind of runs in the realm of ethics and specifically in what we might call effective altruism, right? Empaths are generally very altruistic people, and they tend to have a big heart and they want to do things for people, but they also sometimes struggle with, creative ways of actually helping people, and you can't just be like, well, this is what we're going to do and we're going to stick with it, because if it doesn't work, then now you're just not helping. That's something you have to avoid. So, the flip side, obviously, is that there's no point in trying to solve a problem that you don't have any capacity to. So, for the people who have the capacity, make sure you've got a mind about you and you're creative in your methods so that you don't end up being reductive in your attempts to help people. Empathy is fine, but it's not enough. And, you know, I guess those are just some thoughts I've been having that I thought might be useful to share. I don't know. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Uh, I'm gonna leave it off right there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.